All right, let's talk about the most unheralded and underrated positions in football, the good old offensive line. Yeah, being in the fantasy society that we live in today, all the recognition, well, it goes to the quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. But games have always and will always be won in the trenches. In this NFL draft preview installment, I will give my tackle, guard, and center rankings, and at the end, we'll give my thoughts on which guys might fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. So once again, you guys are going to get a national and local perspective, and if you want to check out my full rankings, click on that description box below. All right, let's start with the tackles. Brandon Scherff of Iowa appears to be the consensus, easier for you to say, top-rated tackle of most publications, and he tops my list as well. He was a very, very productive 3-year starter for the Hawkeyes who's a technician using his hands. He played in an NFL-style offense and was consistent in both run and pass blocking. I like that he plays with an edge to him. Another reason why he's the top-rated tackle is his versatility. He can play outside or inside at guard. You'd be able to plug him in at 4 of the 5 spots on the offensive line. If he does have a weakness, I've noticed he sometimes struggles with, the quicker type of pass rushers, but overall, he's very solid. He's going to go first round, might go top 10. Stanford's Andrus Peat is number 2 on my list. He's very bulky in the lower body and possesses natural and quick feet. He has long arms, plays with balance, can anchor, shows good mirror skills, and has a strong punch. He's a physical run blocker and plays with patience in pass protection. I've noticed that power rushers have given Peat the most problems, and they're going to walk him back into the quarterback. That's what I've seen from him. Third on my list is Ereck Flowers of Miami. Flowers has, the prototypical tackle size at 6'6", 330, and he plays with aggressiveness. Out of all tackles, I think he has the most upside. He's long, athletic, possesses, excellent feet. Once he lashes onto a defender, he's toast. He's effective locating targets in space in the screen game. Because his, hands are sometimes spread, he tends to latch onto the outside shoulders of defensive ends. I also think he needs to improve against counter moves and pass protection. But again, I love his upside. And, hey, who knows? He could be the best tackle in this draft. I have LSU's La'el Collins in at number 4. He's big, strong, and powerful with long arms and huge hands. He's most effective run blocking and uses his power to his advantage. He consistently gets to the second level, and he knows how to use his hands in pass protection. Collins has a tendency to play tall and can get lazy with his knee bend. I don't know how effective he'll be at left tackle in the pros. I see him more as a right tackle or guard due to his effectiveness in the run game. So that's that. DJ Humphries of Florida checks in at number 5. He's quick and athletic, has very long arms, excellent feet. He can slide and recover, just very light in his feet overall. He shows good awareness to recognize and react to blitz schemes. Injuries have been a problem for Humphries at the collegiate level. He's never played a full season in college, and I don't think he's ever reached his full potential at Florida. Pittsburgh's TJ Clemmings is number 6 on my list. He had a very strong season a year ago. He's a good athlete, has speed, balance, quick feet, and is an excellent run blocker who gets to the second level and makes productive blocks. He used to be a former defensive lineman, ranking as the top defensive end in the country by Scout.com when coming out of high school. Clemmings is still raw as a tackle and, will need to be coached up at the pro level. This is another guy, really high upside, right there with Flowers. Oregon's Jake Fisher is my 7th rated tackle. He moved over to left tackle following the injury to Tyler Johnstone during the preseason and did a solid job protecting Marcus Mariota's blind side. I thought he handled that pressure, well early on in the season, having the transition from the right side to the left side, especially against Michigan State during week 2. He's tall and athletic, has good feet, can play in space, takes good angles in the run game. Weaknesses on Fisher: he doesn't play with power. He has a narrow frame, and he gets called for a lot of penalties, a lot of them. Rounding out my top 10, I'm going to have trouble with this name. Texas A&M's Cedric Ogbuehi at number 8. You got Colorado State's Ty Sambrailo at number 9, and Oklahoma's Daryl Williams at number 10. Moving on to the guards. But before we get to those guys, some of these tackles I just referenced, might start out at guard before ultimately being moved out to tackle. Looking at Scherff, I'm looking at Collins, guys like that. My top-ranked guard for this year's draft is A.J. Cann of South Carolina. He's an experienced 4-year starter who's been the Gamecocks team captain the last 2 seasons. He's a mauler type whose footwork, body lean, and hand placement are all solid. He's a natural run blocker with lower body power drive. He's also an effective puller who hits targets in confined spaces. Cann is, the most likely guard to be selected in the first round. Laken Tomlinson of Duke is number 2 on my list. He's very athletic on the interior and was asked to, make a lot of space blocks while in Durham. He's efficient hitting moving targets. He plays low to the ground and moves people. Overall, he's a smart player and had a very productive showing at the Senior Bowl. Tomlinson needs to get better in pass protection, and he tends to get beaten by linemen who stunt into his gap control. But overall, I like him as a prospect. Florida State's Tre Jackson checks in at number 3. He's an explosive run blocker who consistently gets movement and can anchor in pass protection. He started 43 straight games to close his college career at Florida State. Sometimes Jackson tends to, lean over his toes in pass protection and, can get beaten by quicker 3 techniques. But, he's another guy, I think he's solid, can be a solid pro at the NFL level. The 4th ranked guard, and the guy I'm most curious about, is Arie Marpet of Hobart. He was the only lineman to run a sub-540 at the Combine. He had a very, very good workout overall in Indianapolis, this coming after a very productive Senior Bowl in Mobile. It may be a hindrance that he played college ball at the D3 level, but he wasn't intimidated at all at the Senior Bowl against, top-notch competition. And I think he has the highest upside of any guard in this draft. So he's a guy that's really shot up the charts the last couple months. Going down the rest of my top 10, I have Josue Matias of Florida State at number 5, Texas A&M's Jarvis Harrison at number 6, Alabama's Arie Kouanjio at number 7, Louisville's John Miller at number 8, West Virginia's Mark Glowinski at number 9, and Georgia Tech's Shaq Mason at number 10. Moving on to the centers, Cameron Erving of Florida State is the consensus number 1, and the only center I see going in the first 2 rounds. It's not a very deep class at all at center, although it's very rich at tackle and decent at guard. Erving was a 2.5-year starter at tackle before moving to center mid-season in 2014. He's tall, long, and powerful, who's a strong run blocker and a good pass protector. He's smart, instinctive, and gets to the second level. He's versatile as well, can play any of the 5 positions on the line. Since Erving is the only true and legitimate prospect who could go in the first 2 rounds, I'm just going to run down the rest of my top 10. You got Oregon's Hronis Grasu at number 2. Boston College's Andy Gallick is number 3. Auburn's Reese Dismukes is number 4. Kansas State's BJ Finner is number 5. Florida's Max Garcia is number 6. It's Kansas State's BJ Finney. I fucked that one up. Toledo's Greg Mance is number 7. Louisville's Jake Smith is number 8. Miami's Shane McDermott is number 9. And Missouri's Mitch Morse rounds out my top 10. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Evan Mathis. Is he going to get moved before the draft? What's going to happen with him? And if he does, obviously that creates even more need at guard for the Eagles. And, again, if that happens, the Birds can go a number of different ways in the first round if they can't land Mariota. And, one of those is a tackle who can start out at guard. Because, obviously you already have Lane Johnson at right tackle. You have Jason Peters at left tackle. So if Scherff falls, don't be surprised if he gets snatched up. But the one first-round talent who fits that description above is Collins. Collins might be a better fit at guard anyway, and can move to tackle when Jason Peters hangs it up. You'll have Lane Johnson move to the left side. You can have Collins play on the right side. I'm interested to see what happens with Fisher because he's a guy that can either go, first round or fall all the way back into the third round. He's an Oregon guy too. Obviously, we know Chip likes his Ducks. So, for the Eagles' sake, I hope he does fall in the third round because I think he can be a fit in this offense. If the Eagles don't go tackle early, I think they'll pick up a pair of guards in the middle rounds. Due to Chip Kelly's infatuation with athleticism, I can totally see Marpet being a guy to watch out for. I can see him going, in like the 4th or 5th round. So watch out for him. I believe Kouanjio is another guy to watch out for. So, those are 2 guys right there. And, so ultimately, I think they could go tackle first round, but most likely I see them, either going with UConn's Byron Jones or maybe even going Aguilar or Perriman in the first round. But, out of all the positions, I think, offensive line is something that they might attack as well. But ultimately, I think they're, a team that's going to go match up, go get a pair of guards in the middle rounds. I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. But again, don't be surprised if they take a tackle in the first round. So that's it for this video. I did a wide receiver one today as well. So, it was a double shot Wednesday today. Double shot Thursday. Man, I got my days all mixed up. But yeah, that's it for this video. Draft's a week away, so we're almost there. So we'll finally find out if Marcus Mariota is an Eagles green or not. So that's it for this video. Again, make sure you follow us on Twitter at the Bitterbirds. Going to have some draft analysis on there as well. So again, that's it. I'm out. Later. Take care.